Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about cutting and maintaining your performance. So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a bit, and let's talk about this. What I want people to understand that when I talk about this topic of what I'm currently doing to successfully cut, and it is kind of funny, there are people who are saying, well, you're seeing stalls in your fat loss because you're doing that. I'm not seeing stalls. People are noticing on here every week I am getting leaner week to week. Yes, the weight loss has been relatively slow, but this is a long-term project. This is actually like a 9 to 12 month project that I'm doing. This isn't something that I was like, oh, I'm going to do this cut and I'm going to drop 50 pounds in 12 weeks. No, I'm down 21 pounds. And I'm probably going to see a big swoosh this week. But I'm not trying to drop 50 pounds in 12 weeks. And here's the thing. The concepts that I'm utilizing here are not my own. This is not new stuff. This is not me being innovative. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants here. There are other people and coaches out there who have made these things work over the years. And here's the thing we see all the time in YouTube fitness. All these guys and girls get so caught up in their body composition that they let their performance go. They lose strength, they lose performance, they lose athleticism while they're losing body fat. We've seen it over and over and over. How many guys do you guys watch here on YouTube who lose 30 or 40 pounds off their bench press on a cut? Who aren't blasting tons of trim? Look at even Eric Konevsky. Look at the cut that he just did not that long ago. This guy went to 270 and then did a cut and got pinned under a 185-pound bench press. You know how embarrassing that is? To get pinned under less than your body weight on a bench press because you've cut too hard? This isn't ideal. And what people need to understand, if you want to maintain your performance, extreme caloric restriction is not the way to do so. And it's normally said, well, most people can't exercise hard enough to burn that much body fat. Well, that's most people. An athlete, someone who can perform, someone who has a high work capacity, can absolutely drop enormous amounts of body fat purely through performance without taking their calories any lower, without even doing a low-calorie diet. It just isn't necessary. And what people need to understand is that if you're trying to maintain all of your muscle, all of your performance, you can't afford to drop calories low, you can't afford to drop carbs low, you can't afford to lose water weight. And that's the big difference. And that's why people who are going to do this sort of stuff using purely physical activity and still carb loading oftentimes don't get quite the expectations they want on the scale loss. Why? Because they're not losing water weight. They're not losing intramuscular water. They're losing purely body fat. And when you're losing purely body fat and you're not losing anything else, the scale is going to go down slower because most people lose, in some cases, as much as 50% of the weight that they lose over the course of a cut is water and muscle. Why do you think so many of these guys who go do these physique competitions and stuff, they recarb up after the competition and put on 15 pounds in a week? Because a lot of what they've lost is water weight. And the problem is that losing intramuscular water will impede your performance. All right, it will impede your performance. And the thing to remember is that physical activity can be used to create caloric deficit, and it can be used to create nutrient partitioning. And here's the thing. If you increase your workloads by doing larger volumes of cardio, which is a time-proven method of losing body fat, we see it with all these hybrid athletes that are out now, guys like Alex Viada are pioneering this stuff. These guys are getting extremely lean. Look at the people on his coaching team. Look at the people who work with him over Complete Human Performance. Look at the people they coach. There are guys there who are getting extremely lean as hybrid athletes, and with very serious strength numbers. And it's because they're training a lot of these people like real athletes, well-conditioned athletes. And what you need to remember is that it is the physical activity that allows this to happen, and there is a nutrient partitioning effect. The more you carb load, the more you maintain strength, the more you maintain performance, the more conditioned you get, and the more used to doing high volumes of training that you do, the more fat you burn as a fuel source. And what people need to remember, and accordingly, this is an old expression that's been said by many coaches, is that fat is burned in the fires of carbohydrates. Or carbohydrates are the forge in which fat is burned. And it works very, very well. And it's not just coaches of athletes who've done this, because this works very well in athletes. to just increasing physical activity and keep increasing work capacity to lose body fat. But here's the thing. When you do that and then you quit creating the caloric deficit, you have people who have become actually more athletic as a result of it. What I mean is, let's say that you do a lot of physical activity and you burn 30 pounds of body fat off because you dramatically increase your physical activity, your cardio, everything else. What happens when you back the cardio down slightly? Your work capacity and athleticism have improved. If you've done it right, you've maintained all your strength, all your speed. You're now lighter, faster, and better conditioned. You're a better athlete. And here's the other thing. When you've done this through this environment, you've increased work capacity. So that means if someone has done large volumes of conditioning work to lose body fat, isn't their work capacity and recovery much higher now as a result? Of course it is. And they haven't done it by starving themselves. They've done it through just sheer athletic activity. Even if it's lower intensity cardio, you've improved your work capacity. When you go back to no longer being in a caloric deficit, what happens? Your muscles recover better, your work capacity is higher. That means you can train harder and make progress in the weight room or whatever other endeavor you choose to push. You're going to be able to improve yourself at it faster. All right, this is really the way forward, and it's not just athletes and coaches of athletes who do this. They've been doing that for years. How about some bodybuilding coaches who do this with their people successfully? Didn't John Hollywood do this? Yeah, John Hollywood did this. He's not with us anymore, to my understanding, but he had his people just keep increasing cardio all the way up to contest time. How many dudes did he get absolutely shredded with no muscle loss? Every single one of his clients. Every single one of them. And he had them keep their carbs high and just keep increasing cardio and increasing cardio continually. And it worked. It worked. But John Perillo, didn't he do this with his people too? Ultra high carbs, huge amounts of cardio, and it works. It absolutely works. And I'm not saying everyone has the time to do this sort of approach, but this sort of thing is a time-proven method. And what I'm doing is doing a method right now to where I'm doing this because I care about my performance. I'm not willing to sacrifice strength. I realize I need to lose a lot of body fat for my health, for my overall outreach, for the things that I want to do, even improve my strength to weight ratios. If I did go back and compete in powerlifting or another strength sport, if I come in there at 10% body fat with the amount of strength and muscle mass that I have and then focus back on any strength sport, I would be able to do very, very well because of that due to strength to weight ratios. And that's the point of all this. It would make me more athletic. It'll make me healthier. It'll set a better example for people out there who are looking. So I'm choosing to cut like an athlete cuts because I am an athlete. But people who get hung up purely on body composition goals, they want to do the opposite. And they want to just restrict calories, restrict carbohydrates, and talk about, well, I do no cardio or minimal cardio or whatever. But is that really healthy? Is that athletic? You usually struggle with performance when you do that. Whereas in the people who do it with physical activity, you don't see the hit in performance. If anything, their performance increases over time. And by the time they finish their cut, their work capacity is much, much higher. These people have more endurance. They have more recovery. Extremely effective method. And again, you see too much of the opposite being promoted on YouTube, and I just disagree with that. I want to give the other end of the perspective. I'm going to do it myself. I'm demonstrating it. I am successfully doing so. No, it's not as fast as some people would like, but what happens every single time you see any of these people cut fast, lose 40 pounds fast, what happens? They all lose muscle. They all lose strength. What good is that? That's not fitness. That's not athleticism. And that's certainly not using a lifestyle change. That's just doing a temporary fix. If you get used to just doing more and more cardio all the time, that becomes part of your lifestyle. All right, that's real fitness. Yeah, you might back down the amount of it you're doing later when you reach an ideal body weight, but you're still probably going to keep doing a lot of it because it becomes habit. It becomes lifestyle. All right, and people try to treat cutting like it's this real temporary thing instead of making it a lifestyle change. And what happens when people do that? Isn't that how fat people yo-yo back and forth? They try to cut real quick, and then they come off their diet or whatever routine they're doing, and they get fat again, just as fat as when they started. How many of these physique people do it that way? They see cutting and doing this stuff as a temporary thing to get shredded, and then they regain 20 pounds of fat, 30 pounds of fat. Don't we see it all the time? Because they aren't using a lifestyle, they're just using a diet alone to do it. That's not fitness, that's not athleticism. I'm talking about people using athletic things to get leaner and allow your body to naturally partition nutrients. Because that's what will happen. If you're physically active enough, your body will burn more fat for fuel. And if you continue to eat enough carbs to fuel all your performance, you can keep calories relatively high, your metabolism will stay higher, your energy turnover will stay higher. You will find even recompositioning even easier. All right, this is really the way to go, and it's about changing a lifestyle. It's about being more physically active in any way possible. Isn't that what we should all be promoting in fitness? Being more active. Being more physically active and eating a nice balanced diet. A balanced diet, we know based upon all the research, is a high carb diet. And our high carb diets. And so again, I'm also finding this to be the most enjoyable cut I've ever done. I don't feel like I'm on a cut, even though I'm down over 20 pounds and still getting leaner. I'm actually finding the process enjoyable. I'm finding it fun. I'm finding it to be a change in my lifestyle for the better. I couldn't be happier with it. And is the progress not lightning fast? No, because I'm not losing much more than a pound a week on average. But what happens when you do that for a long time? What happens when you just keep increasing your energy turnover and you keep training and you keep getting stronger and you keep improving performance and nutrient partitioning? Eventually you get pretty lean, don't you? Eventually you get pretty lean. And it's at a point now to where, because I'm eating such a clean diet, I'm actually struggling. Like people are saying, you doing a big, I'm not doing a big refeed. I eat maintenance once a week. And you know what? I'm struggling to eat it. Like, it's not even easy. And it's not like, oh yeah, I'm just hungry, let me eat this. It starts to become difficult at a certain threshold. And that's kind of the thing we saw with athletes in the past. That they become so athletic at a certain point, they start eating junk food just to fuel their performance and not keep losing weight. I can honestly see how that happens now at this point. Because eating the clean foods that I do, the ultra low fat, high fiber foods, yeah. And while doing this, I'm having to eat a lot. I'm actually at a point to where I'm not ever hungry at night anymore. In the days where I carb backload, sometimes I kind of get the food that I know I needed to eat, and then I'm like, man, I'm so full, I don't even want to eat anymore. And I sometimes stop short like I did yesterday. I probably ate less than I really intended to because I was just full. I don't want to do this anymore. And got up and trained this morning. So again, guys, remember there's a big difference here. There's a difference between cutting purely for body composition and cutting when you want to maintain your performance. And they're worlds apart. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.